Hi, welcome back to Fresh Faces, New Ideas. My name is David. Welcome to the channel. If you like what I do and you want to continue to support me, please like and subscribe to this video. Please follow me on Twitter at FacesIdeas. Every little bit helps. So for this video, we're going to go over what's going on with Governor Cuomo. So we're going to first cover the COVID thing, and then we're going to go over the sexual harassment scandal, and then we'll just recap it very quickly. So as it stands right now, Governor Cuomo is facing two very distinct challenges. They are the underreported deaths from COVID. We'll look at an article about that in a second. And the multiple, I believe it's 7 now, different people who've accused him of sexual harassment in some various form or another. Currently, as it stands, a vast majority of both the state and the state level and the federal level, Democrats have called for his resignation. There is currently an impeachment probe being done to him started by Andrew Stewart, who is the Senate Majority Leader. There is currently 2 different investigations going on by the Attorney General that have been outsourced, because the way they're doing this is that they're not going to have anyone in the New York Attorney General's office. They're going to have a third party look into this investigation, and that's for both the COVID deaths and for the sexual harassment accusations. So that's just a general overview of what he's facing. We're going to go look at some of the articles and see how that's going. So the first one we're going to look at is what's about the COVID scandal, what is happening there. So this was talked about a lot during the beginning of the pandemic, and then it was kind of covered up for a little bit, and then this came to a head recently. So what happened was during the pandemic, he said that elderly people with COVID still had to be admitted back into the nursing homes. So this is caused, that's the worst possible outcome, seeing that's the biggest high risk group for COVID, and now they're all trapped in one place. So this was talked about, and then he did all of his press conferences, and he wrote his book, and he won his Emmy, and then it was leaked that they underreported the number by about half. So this was written, when was this written? This one was written February 15th, so about a month ago. And the previous disclosed then was 8,500, and now it's 15,000. So it's about a third of it's 1/7 of the people who lived in the nursing homes in the state, and it's a 50% increase from how many people were originally told. So the problem with this is twofold. One is their argument for it, and two is how they've responded to it. So his responding for it, this is the quote. He said, whether they died in a hospital or died in a nursing home, they died. Yes, in a vacuum, that statement is correct. However, that shows no empathy for the people who died. There's no just remorse for what happened. He did the wrong thing, and he has to admit it there. So the key to this investigation is, why did they cover it up? So according to reporting, the reason they covered it up is because they were afraid to give the federal government all of their data, because if they did that, they were afraid that the Trump administration would attack them for it. So there's 2 things here. One, part of the reason they're afraid of that is because Andrew Cuomo became like a little cult hero among certain people because of how he portrayed this air of being, I'm in charge and I got a handle on this, and this is what we're going to do, and I'm just going to tell you the facts, and this is how we're going to, beat COVID. And then he wrote a book about how he beat COVID, even though COVID is still currently happening. And by the time the book was published, which I had to assume was sometime late last year, we're peaking to the worst part of the pandemic. So it's just absurd that that is their argument. So look, it is more than likely that the Trump administration would have used this data to attack the Andrew Cuomo. However, a more prudent response from him would have been, hey, you know what? We made a mistake, and we apologize for that. It is bad. This looks bad. We're sorry that this happened. We're trying to fix it currently. However, the difference is New York and California were among the first states that were hit by COVID. So we didn't really have a full understanding of what was going on. Am I defending him? No. They made a mistake, and they made it worse by covering it up. And when they figure out how big the cover-up was, the people responsible that should face some type of consequences. He apparently threatened one of the Rod Kim, who is a Democratic senator. A Democratic congressperson in the state, by threatening his career. This is apparently a theme with Cuomo. Is he's portrayed as a bully. So look, this is bad, and it is worth looking into. And the people who are responsible for this need to pay a price. However, this is not a single state issue. There are other states that have manipulated data and hid their own data. So it is worth mentioning that while any governor who is advocating for Andrew Cuomo to be investigated also needs to be sure that their books are clean as well. So this is bad. I'm not denying this is bad. They've done a bad thing here. He should not have covered this up. They should not have acted so callously about this. And this idea that it was just because the Trump administration was going to use to attack them wasn't the answer, because the Trump administration was going to attack them anyway because they were blue state, and that's just how the Trump administration operated. So that's a good covering of the nursing homes. They lied about half of them, which is really bad for them to have done with that many numbers. So as this is breaking, it's the sexual harassment cases start coming out. So let's see. This is the first one. This is a whole list of the ones. So we have this is his ex-aide. This was the first one. This was a Chloe Bennett. She was a 25-year-old female who said that he was asking her about her sex life. She felt that he was trying to sleep with her, and it made her very uncomfortable. This is something that's been corroborated with, emails and text messages with other people. So this one appears to be true. This another aide, Lindsay Boland, said that this happened from 2015, 2018, said that he had a crush on her, that he kissed her on the lips inappropriately, that he wanted to play strip poker with her. So this one also has more merit. Look, I'm just going over these. I'm going to go to this. This is unwanted advances. This is Anne Roche. So she said that he put his hand on her aggressively, placed his hand on his cheek, asked if he could kiss her. Then he said he apologized, and then he wouldn't resign. And then more accusations. Let's see where these ones are. This is Hillary, Karen Hilton, and this one they're saying is a political thing. That's why they're arguing against it. An aide has accused him of groping her. There's one. I'm trying to find out which one. Okay, so there's one that is being argued about whether it was actually reported to the police. So now the Attorney General is looking into this. So they're going to have a whole bunch of people looking into this. Look, this is bad. He should not have. This has a timeline of things. The majority leader, this came out last week, should tell him that he should resign. This is the fourth female impeachment investigation. And then this ends 3 days ago with Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand. So, look, the fact that there's 7 women, the fact that they've all come out, the fact that there's an investigation, and they're calling for him to resign. He said he's not going to. We're going to get to that in a second. But it's not. Look, it's not. You can't fairly say that all these women are lying. This is the argument against all of them. This is every time there's an accusation. In some cases, these things are lies, but when it's corroborated like this, when there's a whole bunch of them constantly coming out, when they're continuing to repeat a pattern, it is more likely to be true. However, there's still an investigation. Does he need to resign? I would say at least wait for the investigation. I think the people who are backing him are saying, it might be time to resign because you're just going to make things worse, then he should. However, even if he does resign, these investigations need to continue. This can't be, he's gone, now we can just let him get away with this type of thing. The other thing is the people who are arguing, especially on the right, that this is disingenuous, he has to go now, is not a good argument, because they allowed Roy Moore to run, they allowed Donald Trump to be president and run for president a second time. The Kavanaugh accusings, at least the first one, the Blasey Ford one, appeared very credible. So look, between these two, let's just go to his most recent argument. His most recent argument is he's not going to resign. And now here's his argument. He said him resigning now would be bowing to cancel culture, and that he also said he's not part of the political club. Now, both of these statements are absurd. They just are. They're just ridiculous, crazy statements to have made. So, one, cancel culture. This is a stupid right-wing argument. I've made at least 2 videos discussing cancel culture. That's not how it works. That's not what this is. If you are forced to resign because you did something wrong, that's not cancel culture. That's you paying the consequences for your actions. Also, it is just so, like, you can't cancel people. It's just an absurd statement. And if you're using cancel culture as your argument, that means you don't actually have an argument and you're being disingenuous in the first place. So the other thing is, he said, I'm not part of the political club. So this would be cool this would make sense coming from somebody like me. It does not make sense from somebody whose father was a 3-term governor, who was married to a Kennedy, whose brother is on CNN, and is now a 2-term, I think he's 2-term, maybe 3-term, 2-term governor. He is definitely part of the political club. He ran his father's campaign. There's very few people that are as part of the political club as a Cuomo. They're right up there with like the Kennedys and the Hiltons, or the Clintons and the Bushes. Look, they're short of having a Cuomo in the White House, they're like that next level down. They're basically the if Cuomo was in more federal government, like the center of the state, he would be a Cheney. Like, it's that level. Like, and especially for New York, they're that level of political royalty. So the statement makes no sense either. All right, so let's wrap this up. So last thoughts on this. These are real scandals, and they require real investigations, and they require real consequences depending on what they find. It appears that they covered the COVID deaths up for no good reason. The reason is to make themselves look better, but that's not a good thing. It's not right. They shouldn't have done that. And I hope that when the investigation completes, all the people responsible pay the price. The sexual harassment stuff appears to be true. At least a couple of them appear to be credible. A lot of them are outlining, facts that are congruent to each other. They overlap. Other people have responded. You see, De Blasio having said things that are like, hey, that's just how he is, and these things sound like things that he's done. So, I'm not defending him. I'm being very clear. People are going to say, oh, you're just here to defend Democrats and go after Republicans. I'm not. This is not a good look for Cuomo. It appears that he has done at least one criminal thing for the cover up of COVID deaths, and it is possible that he will be impeached. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think if they really truly have the votes to remove him by impeachment, he would actually resign, because he wouldn't want that stain to be on his name, and that he was impeached. The fact that he didn't end up in the Biden administration is honestly a stroke of luck for the Biden administration. I know there was talk of that. I don't know if he ever actually was serious about it. The original talk about, maybe he should be the nominee and replace Biden because look how poised he is. These are problems. These would have been problems now. So, final thoughts. I don't ultimately know whether he should resign before the investigations go. It certainly looks like that would be the more prudent route. Because then at least that way he can, pretend that this isn't an issue until the investigations finish whenever they finish, whether it's in a year or 2 years. But it appears that he's going to go with the I'm not going anywhere strategy that Ralph Northam had. And Ralph Northam had problems as well. But this is, the idea that this cancel culture is just absurd. The idea that, just because they died and we still have the same numbers is true because their own records show that those aren't the right numbers. Like maybe the overall state's numbers aren't right, but the specific areas, and this is part of the problem that's going to keep up with the vaccines and stuff. We need the records of who died where, so that we could have seen the spread, and that we could have gotten a better idea what the virus did and who was more affected to it, and where we need to locate vaccines. So this is not good for Cuomo on like any level. There's very few redeeming things of this. And the thing is, these weren't even like while he was being celebrated for this, he was doing things that if you just looked at them objectively weren't good, like cutting Medicare. So look, final thoughts is the investigations have to go through regardless of whether or not he resigns. I think it's probably best for him to resign. And then the people who are saying, "Oh, this is just so Trump can get pardoned," I think that's just an absurd, just conspiracy theory. I think it's, you have to have standards. If somebody on our side does something, or somebody on the other side does the same thing, you have to have the same standards. The standard is very simple. You need to have an investigation. If there's credible evidence, then you need to pay the price for it. It's simple as that. Just because you have a D next to your name or an R next to your name doesn't mean the things that you do are okay. It's simple as that. Just because they're on my team does not mean you get to get away with things that I would accuse the other side of. So, if you're going to argue that he needs to be removed for this, you cannot defend the next Republican who has similar arguments. Or if you're arguing that he should not be removed from this, you can't go after the next Republican who has this come out against them either. So you have to be honest about this, and you have to have a standard, and that's my standard. If you have credible allegations and the allegations turn out to be true, you need to pay whatever the consequences are for that. They should not be just swept under the rug because you're powerful. That's not a good way for society to function. All right, so if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter @FacesIdeas, and thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.